gangsters, warlords, monsters. They're coming for us.
Are you scared? You should be.
Let's go!
The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kulturecast and the Projection Booth, another crossover. It's a new movie crossover. That's the only time Mike and I ever talk outside of Mike White May. I am one of your hosts, Chris Stachiw of the Kulturecast.
Check out these abs, Chris. I've been working out for eons, me and my big slug body.
And in the role of Rotta the Hutt, Mike White of the Projection Booth.
Glad to be here, Chris. Thank you for agreeing to do this so I can actually talk about The Mandalorian and Grogu with someone who's not a nerd.
I was about to say, I think, I was going to say, what are you thanking me for? This was your idea. I was not going to watch this movie. I had checked out of The Mandalorian and Grogu. Frankly, I had checked out of Star Wars about the same time Mandalorian and The Mandalorian, the TV show, came out. So this would have been like one of the few Star Wars things that would still get me to the theaters, as it were, to watch it. But on this episode of the Projection Booth / the Kulturecast, we are going to be talking about 2026's Jon Favreau directed feature-length film ? The Mandalorian and Grogu. So the film is written it's written by Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Noah Kloor, and it's directed by Jon Favreau as well. Stars Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian. Well, Lateef Crowder, probably more importantly, as the Mandalorian. Pedro Pascal does the voice. Jeremy Allen White's also in the film as a giant slug. We also have Brendan Wan, and like I mentioned, Lateef Crowder playing the Mandalorian in the suit anyways. Johnny Coyne.
He plays during the stunts. There's also Brendan Wayne, who also is in the suit.
That's true. And then we have Martin Scorsese, who, I don't know what they did to get him in this. And Sigourney Weaver's there because everything comes full circle in the world of sci-fi, doesn't it? Mike, I'm so curious because you wanted to talk about this film, and I'm never going to say no to an opportunity to talk about films with you. Why The Mandalorian and Grogu? Why did we spend our hard-earned Republic credits to go see The Mandalorian and Grogu?
Well, because I think The Mandalorian is probably one of the least offensive of the Star Wars properties that they've had over the last 5-6 years. I'm trying to remember when it first came out. Was that 2019, right?
It was a little pre-pandemic, yeah.
Okay, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very well done. At least the first 2 seasons, I really enjoyed. Third season, definitely the law of diminishing returns, and also there was a couple episodes hidden within Book of Boba Fett. Those were the best episodes of the Book of Boba Fett. I like this idea of this kind of Western in space, which the original Star Wars seemed to really play with. I mean, Westerns and samurai film are very similar. I mean, you look at Fistful of Dollars and Yojimbo, but really that whole idea of the stranger coming to town kind of thing is it's a trope, but it really plays out well in both of those genres. And this kind of sci-fi version of that was very well done. I mean, the whole idea of the Mandalorian and his ward, Grogu, it's Lone Wolf and Cub. So I love Lone Wolf and Cub and all of the adventures that Ogami Ito and Daigoro get into. This was somewhat similar. I just enjoyed the TV show. And then, I figured why not? And plus, I was definitely going to go see The Mandalorian and Grogu because I would watch The Mandalorian sometimes with my oldest granddaughter. She was very into Grogu. And so when the movie was coming out, I said, let's go see it. So it was the first Star Wars movie that I got to take her to the theater and see, because I don't think she saw any of the sequels, prequels, Rogue One, Solo, any of that stuff. So this was her first exposure. Thought it was a nice, non-offensive way to get into Star Wars. But I'm curious, Chris, what did you think of The Mandalorian and Grogu?
So I watched the first and second season of The Mandalorian. I checked out when it was like, and now Luke Skywalker's here. I was like, oh man, like
that was rough.
I'm good. And that was the end of the second season. So I was just like, I'm good. I don't think I need to continue on with this story anymore if this is where we're headed. And then never watched Book of Boba Fett. kind of, again, have not watched a lot of the animated stuff either, where I know one of the characters in this film comes from. Actually, several of the characters in this film come from the animated source material, I guess Clone Wars and Rebels, I'm assuming. And
you got me there.
Anyways,
just cards on the table. I never watched any of those.
Me either. I've done like base amount of Wikipedia research, you know.
Yeah. For me, a lot of these characters are coming out of the Ralph McQuarrie drawings. So there's I guess he's blue and looks like a werewolf. And I know that was the original draft of Chewbacca all those years ago.
Right.
I know he was probably in one of those.
He's the one from He's the one from Rebels. Yeah.
Okay.
Zeb is from Rebels. Yeah.
Right. And then I think he showed up in one episode of The Mandalorian. And don't ask me which season because I don't remember.
I think you're right as well. Which, I mean, again, like, it's fun to tie those things in because for me, Mandalorian and Grogu, I think is the perfect film that you talked about just now. A perfect film for an adult, my age or your age, to take a child 15 or younger to. I think it's a perfect film for that. Beyond that, I think there's a lot of questions that we have about the reason to make Star Wars movies anymore. There's an interesting discussion to be had there that I'm sure we'll talk about that has more or less, not very little to do with the film, but it's part of this discussion, I think, about Star Wars in general, and it always comes up whenever we talk about Star Wars, because we don't talk about Star Wars that much. I'm not that big of a fan of Star Wars anymore. I was when I was a kid. I loved Star Wars. I was there with everybody else my age seeing those remastered films. I went completely apeshit for Phantom Menace. I am one of those people that will actually go out on a limb and say that I think the prequels are slightly better than those sequel films because, again, at least they were made by George Lucas for good and for bad, and they weren't made by a committee of people who I don't know. Those other, again, we go back to the George Lucas never would have had Palpatine come back to life, and especially not in Fortnite of it all. So I've kind of fallen out with Star Wars, but for me, I think the thing that I will say about this movie specifically, it's perfectly fine as an episode of The Mandalorian and Grogu, the show. Like, it's like a feature-length episode. They literally do nothing to make it anything less than that. And you know what? If you go looking for a film about The Mandalorian and Grogu and their continued adventures, this more or less checks all the boxes. So I'm not upset. I don't know if this needed to be a movie. That's more my takeaway. I enjoyed it. I just don't know how much I needed this to be a movie because it does just feel like, I'm not saying you could have put it on Disney Plus, but you could have put it on Disney Plus. Like, I don't know. I enjoyed it though. It's fine. It's perfectly serviceable as a Star Wars movie. And frankly, in a lot of ways, it's better than some of the other Star Wars movies that aren't Skywalker movies that we've gotten. Namely, I would say that this is better than Solo. I would say that this has more charm than Rogue One.
Oh, it doesn't take much to have more charm than Rogue One.
No, it does not.
At least there's no reanimated corpses in this one. Insofar as
Luke Skywalker cameos of similar CGI
so...
cameos. There are no CGI cameos.
Yeah, that Princess Leia one in Rogue One is rough. Grand Moff Tarkin is really rough. I know some people hold that up as this amazing thing, and I'm like, no, it looks awful. It looks like someone walked out of a video game and is there with all of these live action actors. It was really rough. This is, so I remember going to see I think it was like the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, maybe Star Trek films, like not First Contact, but like all of the other ones, especially something like Insurrection. Oh, and it's like
the F. Murray Abraham.
Well, and I'm just like, okay, well, it wasn't good, but it was decent. And I was like, this is basically a couple episodes of the show. Actually, I think it was Insurrection. Was not Insurrection. I'm sorry. The one where they're watching people from afar.
That's Insurrection.
Is that Insurrection?
Yeah. With F. Murray Abraham with the stretched back faces. And they're like hiding behind like the camouflage, like towers and stuff. Yeah.
Really?
That movie has
That's
like 3 different things going on. Because remember, then they have like the thing out in space that they fight on as well. Because yeah. Oh yeah.
But like
Insurrection is a mess.
I mean, everything other than First Contact for me, all of those ones.
You don't like the one with young Tom Hardy pretending to be Patrick Stewart?
Well, I thought that was the one with F. Murray Abraham.
That's
Oh,
that's Nemesis.
Jesus.
That's the one that starts with like, it seems like it's just another day at Starfleet, and then by the end of it, spoilers, Data is dead.
Wow. Jeez, I mix
sort of dead.
all those films,
Hey,
but
you know what they say, Mike? We've got nothing but time, and we could just rewatch all those Star Trek movies because man,
no thanks.
oh,
No.
okay. Well,
No,
you want to
yeah,
watch the Avengers though?
well, you look at something like that, and then you look at something like, for me, Serenity, the Firefly movie.
Ooh.
And I'm
Do
not
we
a big
have to?
fan. Yes, I'm not a big fan of Firefly, the show, but I really like Serenity, the movie. And that takes the material and kind of elevates it. It also feels like a really good way to end a lot of the storylines. It also leaves room for more if they ever come back, or if Nathan Fillion just wants to tease us about other shit that isn't that. It's like, okay, yeah, this was really good. Mandalorian and Grogu, for me, fits more into the Star Trek of it than the Serenity of it. And just saying, like, yeah, this is good. This is a couple episodes worth of The Mandalorian and Grogu. Maybe this is your season finale. Maybe it's the way that you start off the season. 2 episodes, 2 bangers just coming out here. Bing, bang. Let's do it. Okay, great. But I really feel like they just took an entire arc of a series of a season and cut it down to 2 hours and 13 minutes or whatever, and said, okay, here you go. And it kind of works for me. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, here's this assignment. Okay, you succeeded. Well, but you blew up all this stuff. Here's this other assignment. You're going to go out. You're going to, pick up this guy. Oh, things got a little complicated. I mean, it's very, I mentioned Fistful of Dollars. It's very spaghetti Western insofar as this bounty hunter going out and getting bounties and seeing, what the right thing is to do. He could have let Rotta rot, all these kind of things, but it worked. So introduced a lot of characters that I'm not familiar with, brought back characters that apparently other people are familiar with, brought back characters that I'm familiar with from the TV show. I was very surprised that certain people like an Amy Sedaris wasn't there. I know Carl Weathers isn't coming back unless they do a horrible post-life resurrection of Carl Weathers for his character. I was actually kind of surprised that Cad Bane wasn't back. He might have died in the show. I don't remember. But there was one guy who, and he's probably a huge character to Star Wars fans, but the guy who had the big disc hat, very the 3 brothers from Lone Wolf and Cub 2. Like, I'm like, okay, was he Cad Bane? No, he's not Cad Bane, but I'm sure he's somebody to someone. Someone loves him. Someone cared for him, took care of him, wiped his nose when he was sick, and now he's the bad guy in this episode and does a pretty good job. Better than the 2 Hutts, who are just kind of there to menace and be nasty.
I do believe Cad Bane was killed in the Book of Boba Fett.
Okay, yeah. You could tell me anything about the Book of Boba Fett, and as long as you said, and then he goes back to the Bacta tank, I would believe you.
I still haven't seen it. I remember that was one of the things that happened in the show that didn't help because people seemed to like that character. I think,
and again, I don't know where he's from. Like, he showed up and people are just like, yeah, they're like, people are losing their mind, and I'm like, yeah, okay, pretty cool creature design.
To be fair, just assume if you don't know what it's from the cartoon, essentially. Okay. Because none of the video game stuff has ever really made it screen. I was going to say, like, nothing has really ever... Yeah, not really. Now, Dash Rendar was never in anything, and he was the one that was in Shadows of the Empire. No. Shizor, no. None of those characters. Like, Thrawn is a book character more than he is anything else. I guess, you put it aptly, like it is a episode of the show or a season of the show, or maybe like a half season arc of the show boiled down into a movie. Okay, if that's the way we're going to do it from now on, all right. I guess I don't know what is more unnecessary than any more TV or any more movie.
I don't know. It feels like
that's the question.
Yeah, it feels like the movies are kind of superfluous at this point. I mean, because the TV show and I will say the 3rd season, I was just not a fan of. The whole thing, the whole, and I forget her name, Bo-Katan, maybe the Katie Sackhoff character. I didn't give a shit about any of the things that she was doing and the other people that were in her group. I didn't give a shit about Lizzo's character or Jack Black. Like, none of those stories really compelled me.
What the fuck? I forgot about that, Mike.
Oh yeah. It wasn't gripping me at all. And it really felt like it kind of became the Bo-Katan show. And I'm like, no, I signed up for Mandalorian and Grogu. I didn't sign up for Bo-Katan. It was kind of like when they sprung Luke Skywalker on us for the end of one of the seasons. I was like, I don't need Skywalkers in this. I just want the Mandalorian and Grogu and their adventures. Maybe occasionally we can go off and meet some other people, and yeah, Bo-Katan can show up and do her thing and whatever, but I don't need a whole fucking season of that. Like, I'm just done with that. I just want these two characters and their adventures, please.
And I guess for me, that's the thing about the movie that it succeeds at the most, is that it's a Mandalorian and Grogu story.
Yes.
More or less all the way through. Like, I didn't watch the third season of The Mandalorian, so maybe you can fill me in on this. How much agency Grogu now has as a character. Like, Grogu has a fair amount of agency as a character. He's not just a little baby anymore. He's running around doing things, you know. He saves Rotta the Hutt at the end of the movie. You know, this is a character with a lot more agency than the last time I saw him. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the end of the first season is him kind of having that agency a little bit more, where he stops the laser bolts with Carl Weathers, right? Like, you know, I enjoyed that this movie is as advertised. Maybe a little too much, maybe a little too cutesy and for kids, but at the same time, like, Mandalorian and Grogu is for kids. It is, I think, the ultimate bridge to Star Wars. It is like the Settlers of Catan of movies for Star Wars. Like, this is what you show your kids. If you had kids, or if I had kids, you have grandkids. So there you go. Like, it's like, you wouldn't show them the prequels anymore. You would show them this. You would show them, because Grogu is just, they wouldn't care what the Mandalorian is doing as long as Grogu is in every scene or every other scene, because duh, it's Grogu and he's adorable. And that's the thing. It's like they're still getting a lot of mileage out of Grogu, even with someone who's as cynical as I am. And we joked about it, you know, when Grogu first came a thing. Like, I love Grogu just as much as anybody. I'm like, kind of, again, like anything else, it's like almost like Minions now. It's like Grogu was minionized in a way. Like, and so I've kind of fallen off on Grogu, but I found myself reacting the way they wanted me to during the movie when Grogu was doing things. So, like, even someone who's as cynical as me can come back around on Grogu. Like, I see the value. I see what they're doing. It's obvious. It's very obvious. And it's working. I don't know if this movie's been imminently as financially successful for them as they would like, but also looking at the budget of this movie, I'm surprised it costs that much, because the CGI in this movie is not good. It's a Disney movie. My God.
Yeah. What did you not like about the CGI?
I was not a fan of the way that the Hutts look.
Okay.
Which I think is fair, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, they're not using puppets anymore. Really seemed to take me to when George was throwing Jabba into Star Wars: A New Hope. Yes. And just, again, completely unnecessary, especially since all of their dialogue is basically repeated in another scene. And that kind of reminded me of this film. There are two early scenes with Rotta the Hutt, and like, we have Mando come in and Grogu's there and he's talking with Rotta, and Rotta's just like, you know what? I'm good. I'm always under the shadow of my father, and this is really giving me agency, and I'm really happy here, and you know what? I'm going to win my next fight, and then I'm going to be a free man. And then maybe like 3-4 scenes later, they come back and they're talking with Rotta, and he says, you know what? I have always lived under the shadow of my father, and this is kind of letting me be my own man, and I'm going to win that fight tomorrow, and I'm going to be free. And I'm like, hello, did you guys forget? Like, did you do a copy and paste and absolutely forget that you did that? It was so similar. I was like, oh, we did not need 2 scenes of this. We just needed 1. We needed that, or we needed 2 scenes, and we needed scenes. Yes, we needed scenes to be a little different. So give me something more about Rotta the Hutt. There really wasn't that much of his characterization. But the fight that they have, I absolutely love that, especially when Rotta comes in and Mando gets kind of tricked into being in this fight, and he just screams. He's super happy, and he goes, "I know him from work."
Right? Yeah. Boy, they really just cop from their own stuff, huh?
What I actually did like about that gladiatorial scene and was when they pulled back and I saw the markings on the floor and the shape of the area that they're in. And then when the other creatures got brought in, I was just like, motherfucker, this is the chess game from the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 of those creatures are all from, if not all of them, because
they're all from the Din Djarin game. Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy. Because like I mostly remember, of course, the guy who picks up the little guy with no head, but his face is down between his shoulders, and he throws him down and does that kind of thing. And I was just so happy, and I was just like, "Oh, this is so great! Here's me as a 5-year-old seeing Star Wars for the first time, and I'm so happy about these creatures are now brought to life." But yeah, no, it was okay. And I did like that. They all eventually escaped and went out and caused havoc. I was like, okay, good. I like when, people that are running gladiatorial games get hoisted on their own petard.
Well, and obviously, I like that they're paying homage to the original series, the original film. And I guess, again, we come back to the idea of how much fan service do you need to do in a film like this? And I think that that's probably the right level of fan service for me as a fan. Like, I don't need you to beat me over the head with it.
No,
I really don't. I think that for me is like when you've hit kind of like that perfect note of what fan service can be, what fan service needs to be, and what fan service should be. And I just don't think it needs to get in the way. I don't think they need to draw attention to it. But if you're a fan of the series, or if you understand the franchise and have seen the franchise before, it will, I don't know, I guess it'll increase your enjoyment by maybe 1%. You know what I mean? It's not anything like of substantial value. But to your point, it's like, if you've been a fan of this franchise for a long time, then you are going to appreciate some of the things that the film does, including, that fight scene for sure. I do like that we get to see like where Jabba's from. Never got to see that before in any capacity. As a fan of the shows, I'm sure they've gone there before, given that Rotta the Hutt is like a character that's shown up and the animated series effectively went everywhere. But as someone who's only ever watched the movies, I'm glad that that's now somewhere that we've gotten to see in the movies as well. Like I don't know. I like when they start expanding the universe because, like you said, I don't want any more Skywalker stuff. I really don't care. We talk about the Lord of the Rings TV show on another podcast, and this series, Star Wars, has the problem that Lord of the Rings TV show does not, which is they can't get out of like 100 years. There's like 100 years that they're like stuck in, as if there's not all this time before and after all of this. It's just they don't want to get away from the things that they perceive to make the money, which is the Skywalkers, I guess? ?
Yeah, no, it all ties back to, either Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker, so a version of a Skywalker. I mean, even when it came to, though I will say, maybe the only thing I liked about that, oh gosh, I'm going to screw up her, Honora, was that her name? The Rosario Dawson character, she had her own show.
Ahsoka Tano.
Ashoka, thank you. And I'm like, okay, yeah, Nora was the movie that won the Oscar, right? Yeah, okay, yeah. But I was like, when Anakin Skywalker showed up in that show, I was like, well, this is actually kind of enjoyable, and it's nice to see Hayden Christensen come back, but that was about it, because that whole show was just so fucking boring. And you didn't partake in that one, did you?
No, I legitimately have not watched any Star Wars TV shows other than Mandalorian season 1 and 2. I have not watched Andor, much to the chagrin of some people I know who keep telling me to watch it. And Ahsoka and stuff like that. Like I didn't watch the Clone Wars, so it's just not something. I didn't watch the Obi-Wan Kenobi show either, which was something that like seemed like it would be right up my alley. And then I heard it was just okay, and I was like, I don't need to watch just okay, honestly.
As the kids would say, it was mid. It was very mid. Yeah, it was.
Us adults still say just okay. That still means the same thing, right?
Yeah, Ahsoka was really bad. I mean, the whole series is, we need to get to the other side of this galaxy where Thrawn is. And then they get to the other side of the galaxy, and then they go, we need to get back.
Your Thrawn is in another castle?
Yeah, well, Thrawn was there, but yeah, it was bad. And then, I'm never going to watch the second season of it. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi.
There was a second season of it?
No, I imagine they're going to do a second
Oh my
season
God,
of it.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
it's already been. No.
Because it was a cliffhanger, basically, is how it ends. Because after they take the space whales to the other side of the galaxy, and no, you did not hear me incorrectly. The space whales take them there. After that, yeah, they kind of end on a cliffhanger, and yeah, it was, oh man. And then Ben Kenobi, I have no fucking idea. I don't even remember what happened on that show. I remember a lot of Sith that were trying to track him down, including one guy who looked a lot like that, the guy who they called a dildo, I think it was, in Mortal Kombat 2. I think the character designs on those, the guy with the white face and the big black eyebrow.
Sure, Quan Chi.
Yeah, like that basically was the character design of one of these Sith Lords.
Oh,
So hard to take him seriously.
Oh, the Grand Inquisitor. Yeah.
Sure.
Played by the guy who played Hitman in one of those, in the second Hitman movie. The one that's not Timothy Olyphant. So there's been The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, Ahsoka. There are two more. Do you remember those two? Did you watch those two? Because those are the last 2 years.
So I didn't watch the one with the guy from Squid Games. Sins of the Empire? That's not what it's called.
Skeleton Crew?
Oh, Skeleton Crew.
Or no, are you talking about The Acolyte?
I was talking about the Acolyte. That's the one with the guy
that has
from
Darth Revan or Darth, whatever. It has one of the people that they talked about a million times in all the prequel stuff, and he shows up for like 2 seconds in one of the episodes.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, I didn't watch that, and I didn't watch Skeleton Crew, even though I thought that I might want to watch Skeleton Crew. But again, it's, another Star Wars for babies, which is absolutely fine. I mean, Star Wars, I won't say it's always been for babies, but like, after the third movie, when they started doing all of the Ewok movies, it's just like, okay, yeah, they know their audience. They know that little kids are going to enjoy this. So yeah, let's just give them more of that stuff.
Is Skeleton Crew for kids?
That's what I've heard. Or are you just asking ChatGPT?
No, I was asking you. I'm asking AI Mike White. I don't know. Is it? Well, I don't know. I had not
According
heard
to
that
my
it was
sources.
yeah, I had not heard that it was for kids. But I guess I'm not surprised because this movie is for children, right?
It really is, though it scared my granddaughter a little bit.
The sandworm thing or the water worm?
That a little bit, which again, I think is a not Drew Struzan, Ralph McQuarrie thing.
Yeah, I believe so. I've seen it before in
yes,
images. Yeah, hand-drawn images.
Which is weird, yeah, because it feels a little, I don't know, like disconcerting, I guess, sometimes when you see these images and you're just like, where have I seen this before? Like, this is so familiar to me. And then it's like, okay, it's got to be one of those McQuarrie drawings. Like in one of the seasons of The Mandalorian, might have been season 2, there's a giant ice spider. And I was like, oh, I've seen this before. And then I had to go back and see that it was the McQuarrie drawing. But the Amana or Amani, I guess they're called, which again goes back to my childhood because a Man was a figure you could buy. I never bought a Man. He kind of reminds me of the David Patrick Kelly character when he turns into a snake in Dreamscape. They're the ones that look like like a lizard, but their face is there, and they're the ones that were hanging out in the water where that big white snake was. The white snake, the ones that gave us all the hit songs. Like those things
are creepy looking.
Yeah, I think those scared my granddaughter. And
weren't they in the back of like Jabba's throne room?
Yeah, they hang out in the throne room. Yep. There's like one of them hanging out there. Yeah. And they were selling every single person that was on that skiff and in the throne room. Like there were figures for all of them. And after a while, I was just like, where the hell is this character? Where's Yak Face? I don't know this character.
I mean, Yak Face, one of the greats, really.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we all remember Yak Face.
I mean, I remember Yak Face. I know exactly what Yak Face looks like.
And it has a face like a yak.
Like a yak.
Yeah.
It is nice that they do have some of those throwback things to original Star Wars or other Star Wars properties. Because, and I know, if you know anything about Dave Filoni, which I'm sure you, Mike, know at least some about Dave Filoni, a lot of that comes from him. Like, he's just the Star Wars guy. Like, he's the one who's, I don't know, he's like George Lucas at this point, like, I don't know, he probably knows the Star Wars universe better than anybody else. And having him involved, I think, I don't know. How do you feel about that? Because I have my own thoughts, and I think our thoughts may be similar, but what do you think about someone like that being directly involved in like Star Wars project?
I mean, the guy's living his best life, right? You know, he's able to get in here. The cameo slash potentially 2 cameos that he makes in this movie are
It's 2. Yeah, it's 2.
it's distracting.
Wait, if you know what he looks like, all of a sudden there's just a guy with a cowboy.
To do with the cowboy hat hanging out in outer space.
Earth cowboy hat.
Yeah, he's the space cowboy. So some people call him Maurice, but I call him Dave Filoni. And yeah, I've never actually heard the guy speak or anything. I just know so many of the fucking nerds because obviously over the years, the fan base for Star Wars has just become a bunch of fucking chuds, man. And just all of the Filoni worship and then also Catherine Kennedy hatred. I'm like, okay, is it because he's a dude and she's a lady? Like, is that why you're so pissy about this stuff? Is this really
whoa, Mike,
all her fault? So yeah, so for me, just seeing the hero worship of Filoni has been a little much. So I don't know if he could be a very nice guy. I like what he's doing with pulling some of those things from the older drawings and, you know, kind of combining a lot of these storylines because apparently that's going to make some people happy. And I also appreciate that I don't have to necessarily know everything about these stories. Like they actually gave me a little bit of, well, here's Rotta the Hutt when he was just a little kid. And it's like, okay, I'm pretty sure I recognize that just from absorbing things from pop culture.
Can we talk about Rotta the Hutt for a second?
Sure.
What a choice, huh?
Yeah. I've never seen a buff Hutt before.
Ladies and gentlemen, now coming to the ring, Buff Hutt. It's a choice. Jeremy Allen White, huh?
Yeah, and again, I know you watch The Bear.
I'm a huge fan of The Bear.
I'm more of a Cub than a Bear. I really don't know that much about Jeremy Allen White.
He's just a really good actor. It's a weird choice for him to be in this movie. It's just, I thought it was a joke when they were like, he's going to play a buff son of Jabba the Hutt. I was like, what now?
Because in real life, he's actually very buff, right?
Oh, he's a very good looking gentleman. Yeah.
Well,
Jeremy
except for that nose.
Wait, other than the fact that he kind of looks like Bruce Springsteen. I mean, he doesn't, but you know, I've heard he plays him in movies and television.
That's what I've heard as well, but I kind of forgot that movie even existed. Kind of like the Timothy Chalamet Bob Dylan film.
Hey man, why'd you forget? Would it have been better if it had been Timothy Chalamet as a buff son of Jabba the Hutt?
I mean, Timothy Chalamet can do anything.
Including go fuck himself. Most important. I think Jeremy Allen White, it's an interesting choice because the Rotta the Hutt character is such a bizarre choice because you already have a CGI maquette creature for Pedro Pascal and his various stuntmen to act opposite. And now you have a lot of the movie spent acting opposite a giant buff slug. It's a lot of doubling down on the CGI. I think that the Hutt CGI is the least interesting looking of the movie. And it looks cartoony. And the Zeb character looks cartoony as well. So I can't tell if it's like intentional. It almost seems like it is. And if it is, okay. Like I ain't got no problem. But then you have a character like the fisherman played by Stephen McKinley Henderson or voiced by him, who's more realistic looking. So it's weird that there's like stylized choices being made, but then you have realistic looking things as well. Because Zeb and Rotta the Hutt almost look like they are from that cartoon, like from Rebels or Clone Wars. Like they're still stylized in that way. And it's weird because Jabba never looked that way. Jabba looked that way, I guess, that one time in Return or in New Hope. And then he kind of looked like that in Phantom Menace. Kind of the one shot of him you see. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Starts the race.
Yeah. It's just strange. I mean, Jeremy Allen White's a strange choice. Not a bad one. He's a great actor. It's could have had anybody doing that role, really.
One, I actually liked that character, and even though he had to say what his motivation was a few times, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm down with this guy. Seems to have a good reason for doing what he's doing. And after he gets, captured by his aunt and uncle, I was like, okay, yeah, no, you have to save him. And I was glad, like, I almost wish that there had been a little bit of him trying to leave, him being the Mandalorian, like, oh, we got to get out of here. But there was no doubt ever that he was going to go back and save him.
Right. Yeah. The Mandalorian, can we also say maybe the thing for me that the Mandalorian, I think just at this point as a character, he's lost any sense of subtlety or complexity as a character. He's Grogu's dad.
Yeah, and they even call him that a few times.
That's it, right? Like,
yeah.
I remember when the show started, it's like, oh, it is like this Clint Eastwood man with no name character. And now it is just like, he's just Grogu's dad, and he can't do any wrong. And he'll protect Grogu all the way until the end, whenever that is. If there ever is an end for any of this, like, I don't know.
Right.
But it's very, like, the character is very much, like, seconded. They should have called this movie Grogu and the Mandalorian, because it is ultimately, like, become clearly Grogu's show and Grogu's kind of whole thing. And Mandalorian is just kind of there.
Yeah. And I was very surprised that there wasn't more advancement of the Grogu character, just because it's like we've seen him start to learn how to use the Force, and he, he's 50 years old now, and I know Yoda was at least 800 years old. So it's like, okay, well, when do these guys learn how to talk? Like, when does that race learn, to not just make the cooing noises and stuff, which is fine. I mean, he's fucking adorable. But at the same time, it's like, oh, maybe he could use his powers a little bit more, or actually start to say a word or something. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm asking for too much.
I don't think so. I'm kind of surprised that the character isn't further along. It's further along than where I saw the character at the end of the second season, but not much further along in terms of being a character that has a lot of agency and is able to communicate more. And that's why I think, like, again, it goes back to the cutesiness of this whole thing, right? Like the whole, like you said, taking your, kids in your life to this film. Like, it's for kids. I don't know if you would have taken him to the last Star Wars film if it had been coming out today, but this for sure. It has that entry point of Grogu. If Grogu grown up is not something anybody cares about, I genuinely don't think that that's a thing anybody has any interest in seeing. Just like they don't have any interest in seeing The Mandalorian without Grogu at this point, clearly. So, because I'm not sure The Mandalorian is much of a character without Grogu anymore. And that's unfortunate, because again, early on in the show, it felt like a Western. There was some shades of gray to his character. And now he's just a good guy working for the good guy. Even Sigourney Weaver is like, yeah, well, are you really just a bounty hunter? Are you really just an independent contractor? It's like, no, he's one of the good guys now. Sigourney Weaver is also in this movie.
Yeah. And I was glad to see her. Glad to see her show up. I mean, it kind of plays with the same thing that they've been doing since the beginning. I mean, the person that wanted the baby was Werner Herzog. So it's like having these cameos from like Herzog or Giancarlo Esposito or Sigourney Weaver. It's like, okay, yeah, this kind of works. And it was nice seeing her. I love Sigourney Weaver. So having her in this movie was great. I don't know if I bought her actually leading the rescue mission. I was glad to see, oh God, I'm not going to know his character's name, but the guy from, was it Fresh Off the Boat? The grandpa, the balding, older Korean gentleman.
Yeah.
Because he showed up in the show a couple times. I liked him a lot in the show. And so I was really glad to see him back in this. And then, a bunch of other people that I didn't know, but they probably all have their entries on Wikipedia. They probably all at some point somehow met a Skywalker, because that's the thing about the extended universe I can't stand, is how no matter what, all of them meet the main characters from the Star Wars series. So like, even like, I remember Dengar, one of the guys that gets hired to hunt down Han Solo, right? In Empire Strikes Back. It's like I read his Wikipedia entry and it's like, oh yeah, and then he had beef with Han Solo from all these years ago. And I'm like, why? Why couldn't he just be a fucking bounty hunter? Like,
Right.
does everybody have to know everybody? This is like
Of
the
a certain
smallest
time, yes.
Yeah, the smallest universe or sorry, galaxy you're ever going to meet is this one. And they just keep making it smaller because everybody has to track to somebody else. It's like fucking Deuteronomy sometimes.
And I don't understand why, I guess. I don't understand what the point is because, again, like you have this huge sandbox and you don't want to play in it. You just want to
Just, yeah.
fucking just sit in this one corner. Like, that's it.
And then this guy knows this guy because this guy did this thing over here. And it's like, oh, this is, if it was Kevin Bacon starring in The Mandalorian, then I could understand it. And of course, I knew at some point they're going to have to take Pedro Pascal's mask off. I kind of wish they didn't. I kind of wish they did this like the Carl Urban Judge Dredd, where we just never see his face. That I would have been absolutely fine with that if the Mandalorian had never taken off his mask.
Wasn't that the whole thing with being a Mandalorian is you're not supposed to take your mask off?
Well, yeah. And then they shame him and he's like, well, now I'm going to have to kill you. And I'm like, okay, good. And I was glad there weren't a lot of other people in that room because I was like, oh, now he's going to have to kill that guy and that guy and that.
The pizza delivery man walks in. You got to shoot him too.
Did somebody order a 12-inch sausage?
Hey, yo. Hey, I'm Marty Scorsese. I'm a space Italian alien.
Look at me. I'm cooking with 4 hands.
What in God's name, Marty? What happened? They were just like, Marty, we want to extend a Laurel and Hardy handshake to you and an olive branch because you hate our other movies we make. So please, let's pay you SAG minimum for 1 day's worth of work to pretend to be a 4-armed shopkeeper / cook. And Star Wars, not MCU, Star Wars.
Well, it was kind of it's not the same character, but it's the same race as the guy from Solo, right? And didn't Favreau do the voice of that character in Solo?
Oh yeah. Did he?
I'm pretty sure he did, but I don't know. Yes, he was Rio Durant, and the character in this movie
Hugo
is
Durant.
Hugo Durant. So I bet you if we look him up on Wikipedia, it's father and son.
Oh my God. Please. The unknown Durant family line.
Yep.
Oh my God. This is This is completely unnecessary, Star Wars. You do know that.
Wouldn't it be cool if that was this guy and then he could do this and then he makes a reference and yeah, that'd be cool. Okay, cool.
He shares the name with Rio Durant. They're not related, but they share the name.
Just a lot of Durants in those 4-armed.
Huge fans of Darkman.
Yes, yes.
What did you think of Scorsese?
Do you think Kevin Durant is related to him?
Kevin, to a 4-armed monster from Star Wars? Hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I mean, he is French Canadian.
Right. Sorry, what was your question?
My question was, did you find Martin Scorsese as distracting as I did?
I did.
Okay,
yes.
Good. Because I was like, it's you know how Martin Scorsese's mom in Goodfellas is not distracting, even when you know it's his mom? In this movie, it's like, I don't care if I know it's Scorsese or not. It's very distracting.
Well, it doesn't help that he kind of looks like him, with the gray and everything.
It doesn't help that he looks like... Is that an insult?
That is not, no. And you've never seen Scorsese with the shirt off. He has 4 arms. So that's how he makes all of his movies.
Fall out of the chair. That character looks like an old Asian man.
Well, he's got the gray going on. So it kind of reminded me. And then, he sounds exactly like Martin Scorsese. So,
that's intentional.
It's kind of wild.
Do you think he actually had 12 kids?
I think he had 5 kids, just like Benny from Total Recall. Man, I got 5 kids to feed.
Don't kill me. Oh my God. I love that Scorsese is in this.
I'm just like you. I was so shocked when his name came up in the credits. I was like, what? And then I forgot that he was in it. And then when Din Djarin goes to find some information and that guy starts talking, I was like, oh shit, that's Scorsese's voice.
He looks less like Scorsese, and you know who he actually looks like? If you were to put glasses on him, he looks like Coppola. He looks like old Coppola with like the hair and the facial hair.
Okay. All right.
And the turban.
See that? The turban.
Is that a turban or a head covering?
It looks like a turban, yeah. Maybe it's his religion. Don't make fun. Yeah.
You never know. I don't know. I don't know the religions of Star Wars. All I know is that apparently if Rotta the Hutt does enough crunches, he can become what I'm assuming some people will probably find sexy, which is the other,
God. Yeah.
is the other really awful thing to think about, really.
I can't even imagine the fiction that's being written right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Probably
would love to imagine it, frankly.
lots of AI videos and things now. So, whoa, yeah. What would it be like if you were in a Rotta the Hutt sandwich with Din Djarin? Ooh, yeah.
with Hugo Durant filming with his forearms.
Yes.
Four different angles.
Yeah, get over there. Over there. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
You see that window up there? You see that window? That's my wife up there. Yeah. That's what I would have liked if he started doing that whole speech from Taxi Driver.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's just, what did we have? We had Simon Pegg in...
Oh, that was so weird. And Daniel Craig.
Yeah. And then we had this is another one. And then Werner Herzog is the other big one, obviously. Like, so random. Jon Favreau is just like, hey, you want to be in Star Wars?
But that's the thing I really like, like I don't know Filoni, but I know Favreau.
Oh, yeah.
And I like Favreau. And I've always liked him, like, since, gosh, did I see him in things before Swingers? I know for sure Swingers, and I really liked him in Swingers. Yeah, I guess he was in oh yeah, that's right. He was in PCU. I forgot about that one. He's so good in that. Yes. Don't be the guy who wears the t-shirt to the band you're going to see. Yeah.
Literally taking that shit to heart, by the way.
Oh, same. And then the Replacements. Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, I really like him, and I like a lot of the stuff that he's directed. Of course, Iron Man. You could lay a lot of blame at the feet of Jon Favreau, but I don't. I think he has done a really great thing with his career over the years, and I love that he does acting, producing, directing, writing, and yeah, I like what he's done with the Star Wars properties that he's been involved with way better than like a Robert Rodriguez, who directed probably the most awful Book of Boba Fett that there was, which is saying something. That's like a race to the bottom.
I would say Jon Favreau, I don't know what is there to blame him for other than having an abundance of these things in our lives more, because Star Wars was on the decline when he took over and did The Mandalorian as a show. And then took over, I mean, he just took over because he created The Mandalorian as a show. And that ended up becoming like the overwhelming conversation about Star Wars for like 5 years, is just The Mandalorian.
Well, I'm just saying him as director of Iron Man.
Well, same with Marvel. Like, Marvel wasn't a thing the way it is then, the way it is now, and he's part of the reason.
Yeah, if Iron Man hadn't been the hit that it was, I don't think Martin Scorsese would have been pissed off about it.
Right, Martin Scorsese would not. This is all Jon Favreau's fault that Martin Scorsese is a four-armed ape in Star Wars. It all comes back to Jon Favreau in the end. He was in an episode of The Sopranos, Mike, playing himself.
Yeah, I remember that.
Fucking
Alicia Witt. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. Favreau, I think Favreau is a good arbiter of the pop culture world the way a J.J. Abrams is not.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, like, he definitely has taken some missteps as a director. Iron Man 2.
Zathura.
I haven't seen Zathura.
You saw Jumanji, right?
I saw Jumanji, so I basically saw Zathura, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because one of his other missteps is Cowboys and Aliens, which kind of is The Mandalorian, if you think of it, because it's basically a cowboy show with aliens.
Man, that's a movie, is it bad that I would like to rewatch that movie? Or if I rewatch it, is it as bad as is it as not much of anything as I remember? Because I don't even remember it being bad. I just remember watching it in theaters and being like, I was one of the few people at the time that I had actually bought the graphic novel and read it long before the movie ever came out. And I remember thinking to myself, do we really need this being adapted anyways? Like,
was it a good graphic novel?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't great. It was just a novel concept, but like not novel enough.
Right. Well, it's funny, when I saw it, I was really reminded a lot of John Carter, parentheses, of Mars, and parentheses. But I like John Carter better than I liked Cowboys versus Aliens, or Cowboys and Aliens.
I've heard that John Carter movie is not as bad as it was being played out to be.
No, it's not terrible. I mean, some of the special effects are a little rough, but it's really not that bad, you know? I mean, and I do like that Favreau really kind of goes above and beyond when it comes to special effects and a lot of his stuff, like the Jungle Book, the effects in that, which again, did we really need a live action Jungle Book? Well, his was decent, and I really like the special effects on it.
Well, I would say that this is redemptive of him as a director more so than The Lion King. My God,
boy, yeah.
That was a misstep. I mean, that is just talk about unnecessary in a way that's, I don't know. I can think of few things less unnecessary than that Lion King movie. And you know what?
That's true.
What the fuck was even the point? The original one is hand drawn and this one's just animated effectively. What are we doing here, folks?
Yeah, and the lack of facial expressions on the animals.
Well, they're real animals. They had to be real animals.
Yeah.
Like what? That was the strangest fucking choice. The year of animals making strange choices was 2019. We had asshole-less cats played by humans, and then human beings playing real-life animals in what's effectively a David Attenborough documentary, but turned into Lion King. Like, what was the point? I don't know.
Strange.
Just so fucking bizarre. And you know, we didn't mention it, but I honestly think Jon Favreau is one of the few people who's created a modern-day Christmas classic with Elf. I mean, you know, I think Elf's amazing. I think we would both agree. Like it's pretty phenomenal Christmas film. And
Absolutely.
It's like one of the few ones that has been released in the last 20 plus years, like 20, 25 years, that actually is as good as the other ones that are remembered as Christmas classics. And that's hard to do, especially organic.
Well, and of course I love the nods to Rankin and Bass in that one too.
Right. Yeah. I feel like if we could get Jon Favreau on a podcast to talk to us, we'd all be able to have the same language. We share the same language with someone like Jon Favreau.
Absolutely.
And I think it comes through with what is successful about this movie. I think the things that are successful about this movie are the things that someone who's genuinely a fan of Star Wars would want to see. And nods back to the old stuff, nods to things that have never happened, new stuff, fun, new creatures and other things, and expounding upon creatures we've seen before in a fun way. Like, those all seem like a thing that someone who actually likes Star Wars would want in their movie. And that's what this movie is. Maybe it's sometimes a little too much, but I can't foresee them not making another one. I don't know if they'll make another Grogu season of TV, but I think we'll get probably another one of these, at least.
Yeah, because I mean, basically, you know, I love pitch meetings, right? The Ryan George series that's on YouTube,
right?
And I just can hear in his voice, you know, oh, what an adorable little marketing opportunity when it comes to Grogu. It's like, yeah, that's what he's built to sell toys, you know?
Right.
And he's cuter than fucking Ewoks, and he has a lot of potential, and he's got some power. He's got some agency. I really like when those little guys take him with him to go rescue Mando. I was like, okay, this is good. I'm glad that it's actually him doing this. You know, it's not somebody else rescuing Mando. And I also liked the pretty direct nod, I think, it's either Lone Wolf and Cub 2 or Lone Wolf and Cub 3, when Ogami Ito, is injured and Daigoro has to take care of him. And there's a great scene where Daigoro is trying to bring him water and he can't figure out how to do it. So he finally puts the water in his mouth because he can't hold it in his hands and walk that far. I was expecting Grogu to do the same thing, but luckily he had that little vial that he could put the water in. But I was like, this is cool. And I also like the kind of, I'm guessing it's an instinctual thing for their race to make houses that look like that house that he puts Din Djarin in, because it's exactly the same as like Yoda's house on Dagobah. Yeah.
I loved that.
That was nice. Yes. And then using the force to push him in there, and that clank when his head keeps hitting the wall. I was like, well, that's pretty cute. I like this.
This movie is cute, right? Like, we have the Anzellans, the little, I mean, I don't know what they are. Like, I don't know how cute those little things are. The little space old men.
Disconcerting. Yeah. They kind of remind me of the, I think there's a shrimp character from the Muppets. They kind of remind me of.
Oh, God. Yeah. Pepe?
Yes,
shrimp.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Who's also like Puerto Rican. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Pepe the King Prawn. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he does. They do kind of look like that. I mean, there was Babu Frick was in what, the last Star Wars sequel?
I think so.
He was the one that wiped C-3PO. And I don't know, they remind me of like Harry or Neon Nubs.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
But it's a cutesy movie. There's like all, there's all these like cute things in the movie. Like, I think to your point, like it is a marketing opportunity, but Grogu, I think for if you were any company making products in the last 10 years, like Grogu has been a godsend if you're children facing. Like, my God.
Do you know what else they reminded me of? Those worm aliens in Men in Black, the ones that like hang out in the coffee room, like those kind of things.
Yeah. Hey, you want some coffee? Yeah, those.
Right. Yeah. The worm guys, I guess they're called.
Yeah. I like the comparison of Pepe the Muppet.
Thank you.
Yeah. Pepe the King Prawn. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, I would if you're into Star Wars, especially if you're into The Mandalorian, there's no reason not to go see this movie.
Yeah.
It's very, to me, inoffensive, to the point where some people might be like, well, it's not taking risks. It's not doing anything new. We're not adding
of the reviews I saw said that. They were like, it's kind of boring. And, it is kind of boring, but I think it's also like if you look at it solely as that's the intention, I don't know how you can't say it doesn't succeed.
Right.
Is it charming? Or is it like it's a charming movie? It doesn't need to be any more than that. Like the Mandalorian is pretty frothy television entertainment, is it not?
Yeah, I want to say it's a little bit more grounded. I don't know. Yeah.
Mandalorian's fun. This is fun.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be sit down with your kids or your family and you watch Mandalorian. Like the movie is the same. It doesn't like the original. This recaptures a feeling of kind of fun that the Star Wars sequels really didn't. The Star Wars prequels really didn't. This is like kind of taking what makes the Mandalorian fun, that like charmingness between Pedro Pascal and the little Grogu puppet, and it amplified it. Like that's all this is. Like if you're expecting to go into this to be something other than that, like that's on you more than I think the filmmakers really. I'm not trying to give them a pass, but I think like they're successful in achieving what I would be setting out to do with the movie like this, which is make something cute for the whole family, because that's what The Mandalorian was. Like, and is. And if they do another one of these movies, that's what it's going to be. It's just going to be more of this. Like, it might be a little bit edgier because the people that grew up with Mandalorian are getting older, but Grogu's never going to die. Mandalorian's never going to die. Like, get that shit out of your head now. Like, there's the most danger any one of them is either ever going to be in is going to be something that can be easily solved by the end of the episode, season, or movie. Like, it's kind of past that point at this point. It's like Stranger Things. It's just kind of become unto itself its own thing. And I don't know if this is the end of the Mandalorian story. I think it was a good way to end it. If it was the beginning of another Mandalorian thing, I think it's a pretty decent jumping off point as well. Yeah, the only thing that surprised me about The Mandalorian and Grogu was that it didn't end with production drawings, because that's how all the TV episodes end. And I was like, well, it kind of would have been appropriate to just end it the same damn way, because this is just a big old TV episode that I paid top dollar to see, and that might make people butthurt as well. Just like, oh, I could have just watched this on TV. It's like, well, you could, and you can wait like what, 3 months maybe, not
if that long.
A month and a half probably at the most.
And then it'll be on Disney Plus, and you can just watch it there. So if you don't want to go to this show, I think it finally knocked Michael off of the pedestal of the top earners. Maybe, I don't even know. So
that movie, he'd all the way to the top, baby.
Yeah.
We missed out by not talking about it, I guess.
America loves its pedophiles, man.
Well, it loves its little things too. Little Grogu dancing around, making its cute noises, Mike. We just can't over exaggerate how much cuteness sells, baby. Good guy.
There are a few moments in the movie that I kept thinking of Baby Groot, and like especially in I think it was the second Guardians of the Galaxy, when Rocket's trying to explain to him like, don't push this button, don't push this button, yada yada yada. And at one point, Din Djarin gives him some instructions like, don't touch those buttons, or I know what it is. It's, remember those buttons I told you not to touch, like touch those buttons now.
Right,
like I need you to help me with this stuff. Right. And he just keeps firing rockets on all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh, this is the Baby Groot moment. Okay. all right. But at least Grogu seems like smarter. But at the same time, I'm curious when he will start talking backwards.
Oh, like Yoda.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think the last, kind of the question I have for you is where does Star Wars go from here as a franchise? Do they keep doing stuff like this? Do they make movies out of their TV shows? Like, I haven't gotten the sense people care about Star Wars the way that they used to. Like, this was successful, but it wasn't as successful as I think they wanted it to be. Like, financially and, critically, it's like literally more or less down the middle. Like it's like 60% of the reviews are positive. So I don't know. Yeah. Like I'm curious what your thoughts are, because you might be coming at this from a different direction because you're just a little bit older than I am. I have a little bit different feelings about Star Wars than I know you do, because I grew up with it in a different way than you did.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to go. I don't know how many more television shows they're going to make. I imagine they will continue to make television shows because I don't see them as costing that much, especially now that they've got that kind of volumetric the volume system.
Right.
I mean, I have to say, other than what you pointed out with the Hutts looking a little questionable, most of the movie looks really good.
Yeah. For the moment, I think it looks better than that Punisher thing that they threw out there.
Oh, Jesus
Christ. Hey, that's not Joan Bernthal falling off a roof, clearly.
Oh, Jesus. But, I know coming up they're going to do, well, I can't say I know they're going to do because they've announced so many things over the years that they just are not doing anymore. Like this was supposed to be the 4th season of The Mandalorian, but they're not doing it. I don't think they're going to do a Lando TV show. I don't think they're going to do, what was that? There was like, there was another title they kept, like something of the New Republic or something. But apparently they're supposed to do one called Starfighter.
That's coming out.
Okay, that's coming out next year.
Yeah, that's the one with Ryan Gosling. That has been. I think they're done filming.
Okay. And then I guess they're also supposed to do one called New Jedi Order that goes back to Rey. So Rey Skywalker. So fuck me, right?
Well, then James Mangold is supposed to direct one as well. And then Dave Filoni is supposed to get his own thing. So,
all right.
I don't know. I unfortunately think Star Wars has kind of just jumped the shark. I think those sequels were really bad. And I think they've only gotten worse in retrospect, looking back on them, because I think the things that have been good since, like Mandalorian, even it kind of soured itself because, the first season of that show, fucking amazing. Second season, like immediately it starts being diminishing returns. And then by the end of that season, it's just like, okay, we have to get Luke Skywalker involved. Yeah. So I think Star Wars is best suited kind of trying a couple different things, seeing what works, but always leading with the same foot, which always seems to be cutesy shit. Like pair something exciting with something cutesy, and that seems to be Star Wars nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
They even had Porgs and Babu Frick in the new movies. What was that? Oh, and BB-8. What was the thing in the first Star Wars sequel?
Oh, yeah.
BB-8. It was BB-8, Porgs, and then Babu Frick in that order. And then, Baby Yoda is kind of like, there will be nothing as cute for a while as Baby Yoda. Nobody's figured out what that next thing is. Baby Yoda is still kind of that cutesy pop culture thing that you can go back to.
Please don't dead-name Grogu.
Oh, sorry. Dead naming Grogu. Does anybody call him Grogu other than Mandalorian?
That's a good question. I imagine some of them do. Yeah. I think he introduces him as Grogu and not Baby Yoda, because I don't think Mando knows who Yoda is.
Right. Yoda is a term that we as people outside of the universe know.
Right. I would recommend, now I haven't seen the second season of Andor, but I really enjoyed the first season. That might eventually start to suffer from the same thing we were talking about with Rings of Power, where it's like, okay, I know where this is going. And that's what I like about Rings of Power, is that we know where things are going in a few thousand years,
right?
As opposed to Andor at some point is going to tie right up to Rogue One. But that first season is definitely very pre Rogue One, since everybody fucking dies in Rogue One. Really cheerful movie. Except for Mon Mothma, I guess. But yeah, I haven't seen the second season yet. I'm curious if that's good. And then, yeah, all the other Star Wars properties, like, again, I haven't seen the Acolyte. Is that what you mentioned?
It's not coming back. It was
No, it's
It was
not.
canceled after one season.
Because people couldn't stand it. And I'm just like, again, I think there were probably too many women and people of color in there. Oh my God. And I did like that when it comes to Mandalorian and Grogu. Like, you could say that Mando is a human and Sigourney Weaver is a human, but otherwise, it's all creatures or other races that are the main characters, and I was absolutely fine with that.
Same. I mean, like Zeb, Zeb is not remotely human. So
No.
there's lots of robots. Was there a shot of R2-D2 at one point in the movie?
Maybe
There's like
I
a
don't
blue
remember.
droid being put into an X-wing at one
Yes,
point. I was like, is
and
that R2-D2?
I wasn't sure if that was R2, if that was just another R2 unit, and I think R5D4 might have been in this one. I don't know, but I didn't look up the. I'm sure there's a ton of trivia about this movie and people just flipping out trying to make all the connections. But it's like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good with what I saw on screen, and I don't need to dig deeper in this.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's very interesting. Do you remember what the last standalone Star Wars movie that came out was?
Was it Solo?
It was Solo.
Okay.
In 28.
Wow. Okay.
Rogue One, Solo, and Mandalorian and Grogu are the three singular films so far that have been Star Wars standalone films. I would put this above those two. Genuinely.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
I think Solo is still the one that, like, probably in the long run has the most, like, return viability because Alden Ehrenreich is such a good actor. And I think that, like, I think he's actually really good in that movie. I just think that movie is just, I think, a fucking mess because of other things, like so many other things, namely like the Ron Howard of it all will never make sense to me why they just didn't let Lord Miller do their thing, but whatever. At least, like, Rogue One is Gareth Edwards' movie, but it also had the axe taken to it. Like, we know that about that movie. Like, when we did that episode about it, or at least I did, I remember talking about there's shots from the trailer that are not in the movie, and there's a lot of shots in the trailer that are not from the movie. Like, they edited the whole movie differently.
Oh, yeah.
This is the first one of these three that feels like this is one, if not two or three people's singular vision, and it's executed the way that they want it. Is it as much of a big swing as it needs to be? No, but not everything needs to be a swing for the fences home run. Sometimes an in-the-park single gets somebody home from third base and you score the run and you win anyways. It doesn't always have to be this big swing. And Star Wars, I think right now, for me, is in a position of like, you can't take big swings because I'm not sure the public sentiment with Star Wars is not where it used to be at all. I think people have soured on Star Wars and just don't really care anymore. And Star Wars is going to have to do a lot to make up a lot of ground that it's lost as a franchise because of people that did a poor job with it and thought, let's just give them a bunch of Star Wars all the time and the quality of it doesn't matter and they'll just eat it up. And it's like, no, they won't actually. They will not just eat it up. And they did not just eat it up. And I'm glad to see that something like this is successful. Is it the most exciting thing I've ever seen? No, but if that's what people wanted, I'm sorry. That was never what this was going to be.
Well, Chris, when you're not talking about Star Wars and scouring the Wikipedia for connections between all of these different characters, what keeps you busy, sir?
You know that there's someone out there who's immensely offended that you're making fun of what they do every day.
That's okay.
I was like, I don't care any more than you do. That's fine. I am scouring Wikipedia for all of the connections. I want to know if the salacious B. Crumb character somehow ran into Han Solo before he was in Jabba the Hutt's throne room. I have to know. But if you want to hear the things that I'm doing out in the public that aren't done in the secrecy and privacy of my own home, you can head on over to weirdingwaymedia.com where this show and all the shows I work on can be found. But most importantly, the ones that I don't work on can be found there as well, like Midnight Viewing, 80s TV Ladies, whole host of things can be found over there. Mike Show, the projection booth as well. So yeah, what about you, Mike? Where can people find you?
Yeah, pretty much the same darn thing all the way down the line, other than the Patreon, which is patreon.com/projection booth, where you can get early access to pretty much everything and all the shows that I work on and stuff. I try to post those out there as much as possible. So, and we've got a brand new show that we will be announcing probably a few months from now.
Yeah, definitely towards the end of the year. You'll know more about it if you're a fan of what we do with Rankin' on Bond. It won't be a Patreon exclusive like Mike said, but you'll still be able to get it ad-free. So, a month early. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us and listening to this episode. Mike, thank you for pushing me to go see this movie and getting me out of the house to go enjoy The Mandalorian. Wink, wink. And we'll catch you on the next episode.